Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.
Tonight on Crypto Trader, Telegram asks investors for more time as they prepare for battle with the SEC. BINANCE hits $1 billion profit in just 3 years, and the BNB token is listed on the Swiss Stock Exchange as an ETP. GRAYSCALE has a record quarter, but backed Eris and Fidelity just can't seem to get it up. Chainalysis, the blockchain analysis company, assists the Department of Justice in taking down the world's biggest child porn syndicate. And we have a breaking story. Circle spins off Poloniex and shuts down its US operations. I'm Crypto Man Run, and CNBC Crypto Trader starts right now. Telegram, the messenger app that raised over $1.7 billion for the Telegram Open Network, continues their fight with the SEC. The SEC issued a court order last week compelling the company to delay the launch of their network beyond the 31st of October deadline. This week, Telegram reached out in a letter to their investors, asking the investors to make a tough call. Either take 77% of your money back now, or allow the company to extend the launch of the network to April 2020. But by this time, the company expects to burn an additional $80 million, or 5% more of investors' money. So, what would you do? What will investors do? And what will happen if they carry on their fight with the SEC? With me, I've got Frank Chaparro. Frank, investors are faced with a tough call.
You're faced with a tough call, right? I wish I would have known you were an investor. I've been speaking to a few of them over the past couple of days.
So full disclosure, I am an investor in Telegram indirectly.
What are you going to do?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I mean, what happens if they battle out with the SEC? What are the options?
So here's what's interesting to me from my perspective after talking to a few of the investors. If they do the extension to April 2020, you're right. There's the opportunity that they might work things out with the SEC and then launch. But if you look at how much time that is from now to April, I'm very skeptical about whether or not they'll make any inroads in enough time, leaving investors to either think about taking that haircut, an additional haircut, or maybe even extending again.
But Frank, it seemed to me like the Telegram was very complicit. I mean, they filed a Reg D. They waited a year before the launch of their network and giving out tokens. What's going on here? What's going on?
Yeah, investors are upset, and Telegram, you know, they sent out a snarky email or notice to the SEC about how they had done, as you said, the right type of work, reaching out over the past year, trying to get feedback, and said, hey, if there's anything that we should or should not do, let us know. And supposedly, according to one source, the SEC reached out only 2 weeks before they were going to, 2 weeks before they issued that court order.
So Frank, help me. What should I do? Should I lose 23% of my money and move on? Or should I invest another 5% and take the risk that Telegram will actually launch?
Well, I mean, I'd be curious to know what the consensus is among the investor community of whether they're going to proceed. It sounds like they're going to. I mean, maybe you should.
Remember, there are 2 rounds of investors.
Yeah.
The early round, which got in quite cheap. They got in at about 38, 39.
So as each gram was sold, it raised the price by like 1/1000th of a penny. And so by the time the second round came around, I think it was around $2.
Somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. So there's really 2 classes of investors. Mm-hmm. Now, there could be a scenario where one class agrees and the second class doesn't agree.
Yes, that could happen.
Yeah.
And it would be, pro rata sort of distribution of the money.
So here's another thing that I want to understand. Telegram has no income or no revenue sources at all. It's a messenger app that's free and has no income or no revenue sources at all. They've burnt over $300 million in the last 12 months. Mm-hmm. We know this because there's 77% of the money left.
And they're going to burn another $80 million.
What happens if investors say, no, we want our money back? What happens to Telegram? Where do they get funding from? Do they go out and raise VC funds?
For the project? I imagine the project's kaput at that point, right?
A project with 250 million users growing very quickly.
Oh, not the messaging app. The messaging app, I mean, I'm sure they'll try to figure out something. We know it's hard, right? We know that this isn't an easy business because Kik is experiencing something very similar where the financials were not in a strong place and one investor or one board member described the ICO as a Hail Mary pass to save the business. So that's a good question I don't have an answer to, but it's clear that these messaging platforms are struggling and seeing crypto as a venue to breathe new life into them.
Do you think Telegram can sort this out before April? Or do you think that
No,
if I give them the 5% grace, I'm going to be called again in April to say, hey, we need another 5%?
I mean, I don't know. The regulators move so slowly. Like, look at what BACT tried to do getting a future off the ground. It took from, they thought they were going to launch in November. It didn't launch until September of this year. So that's just one future contract that's trading like a Bitcoin a day. You're talking about a platform, a network that will touch potentially hundreds of millions, and thinking that we can get this sorted out with the SEC by April 2020, no shot.
Well, you mentioned BACT, so after the break, we're going to look at why BACT can't get it up.
We're here in Seoul at the Korea Blockchain Week. Korea is at the forefront of digital assets, and it really makes sense for us to be here. At B21, we've set out to develop tools that make it easy for more people to get involved in investing in crypto assets. What we're doing is we're taking all of the technical issues that exist today, and we're making those look easy behind the scenes and creating an interface that is just quite easy to use. We're bringing crypto asset investing into an environment where it's 1 or 2 clicks. We make investing in that portfolio quite easy by doing what we call a multi-asset trade. You see the assets that you own in the current allocations. You press the plus or minus to change your allocation. If you want to lock it, you lock it in. And once you're finished making the changes, you just confirm the changes. So on our platform, we accept credit and debit cards, bank transfers. And one of the things we've done, which is really cool, is we accept cash. We're very excited because we believe with B21 we can help create mass adoption in crypto, and we're going to play a very important role in that happening.
Despite the lack of price action in the market, it's actually been a really big week for the institutionalization of crypto. GRAYSCALE reported a record quarter with $254.9 million flowing in. And this represents a 300% increase in deposits for the quarter. CEO Michael Sonnenschein says that the increase is as a result of professional investors wanting more exposure to the asset class. He also said that 67% of the inflows went into Bitcoin, and the balance went into Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, with no interest in XRP. So, with all this institutional interest in crypto, why is it that BACT, RSX, and Fidelity just can't get it up? And by that I mean the volumes.
Yeah, I hope you do. I hope you mean the volume, for sure. So you're alluding partially to a report I put out yesterday, which outlines how, despite some institutional interest in the space, these institutional AIM platforms don't quite have the volumes that maybe a year ago when they announced we expected.
I mean, what did BACT do on Wednesday this week? I think it did.
They traded 60 Bitcoin.
60 Bitcoin.
That's 400 something, some odd dollars, $400,000, which, you know, compared to what BitMEXC trades, what Coinbase trades, Coinbase is trading 150 million a day. Obviously, we're comparing futures and spot, but the bottom line is these retail, quote unquote, retail platforms are actually a lot more sticky than we might have anticipated. And, you know, markets take a while to grow. A lot of the traders and investors I spoke to said, listen, a platform needs to be, or a product needs to be 5, 10x, or 100x better for us to onboard. And many of them are looking to decrease the number of venues with which they engage. So the bottom line is time will tell if BACT and RSX can figure out their way to volume growth. For BACT, let's not forget that the future is just a part of the puzzle, or one piece of the puzzle. Yeah. They have custody, they're looking to do merchant businesses. And for Eris, their play is, all right, if we can link up to a TD, or if we can link up to a Fidelity and get access to their traditional equities user base, that's a ton of retail flow, which could then complement institutions.
Is it not too soon to be judging BACT? I mean, well, BACT's been live for a month, less than a month?
It's definitely, it's 100%, I agree. But the question still is, you've had a year to kind of get this market up on the board. Why aren't traders there yet within the first few weeks of trading?
And that's against the background of BINANCE making $1 billion in 3 years. I mean, you're talking about one company that managed to ramp up like that, and another one which is
Yeah, slow and steady growth. And the question is, will those slower moving firms be able to track the interest of, the crypto world, which is known for its high pace and demand for products not tomorrow, but 2 weeks ago.
And there seems to be some more action, and the other action is that Circle is spinning off Poloniex. Yes. And not only are they spinning off Poloniex, but they're shutting down the US operations.
Yes.
Now, you were on the phone with a source a few minutes ago, and you may know who's buying Poloniex?
This is not confirmed, but it would be very interesting if it was indeed true. Apparently, part of that group of Asian investors includes Justin Sun, who is the founder of the Tron project. It would be very interesting. What's more interesting to me is the fact that this has happened. For us at the block, the writing has been on the wall for a while. You remember, because you were active in the market back in early 2017, they had close to 70% market share, Poloniex.
And they started to go down and down and down.
Well, once they started doing KYC, it just fell off a cliff, right? And so now they're about 1%. The other question is what then becomes of Circle, which has had issues with its over-the-counter trading desk. Tons of employees have left. They sunset Circle Pay. What's left? USDC, but I don't know how you make money off that. So I haven't figured it out because I'm still kind of in the process of processing it. But
for me, the biggest problem here is that they're shutting down the US operations. And here's another exchange that's saying to the US market, you can't play. And it kind of feels like the SEC is shutting down blockchain in the US. You can't do ICOs here. You can't sell grams here. You need to close your exchanges. Is the US being locked out of this blockchain revolution?
I will play devil's advocate and say that the US has the deepest, strongest capital markets. We make up 50% of the global stock market, and I think there's a reason for that. That reason is rooted in a deep, strong interest in protecting the public. But yes, I think that there should be a balance. We should have a sandbox where certain things get to be tried out and aren't immediately shut down, and where there's not potential shenanigans like when we discussed Telegram, where you're reaching out 2 weeks before you're issuing a court order. If that's true, that seems, definitely like it would inhibit or impede innovation, but I don't think it's clearly black and white.
Well, one area that is making a lot of progress is that you can now start earning interest on your crypto and interest on your stable coins as well. So we're going to be talking about earning interest or earning money by investing your crypto, so stay tuned. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want more of this content, hit the subscribe button now. Coinmarketcap, the popular price quoting site, has started quoting lending and borrowing rates on cryptocurrencies. On a site called interest.coinmarketcap.com, users can now select the currency and compare the lending and borrowing rate across a range of spectrum of providers. Though this feature only took them a month and a half to develop, it's a huge step in developing a new financial ecosystem. I mean, it was just 2 years ago where the notion of lending and borrowing cryptocurrencies didn't actually exist, and today it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. With me in the studio, I've got Alex Mashinsky, who's the CEO of the biggest lending company in the game, and that's Celsius. Alex, this is becoming a real big business now. Binance is doing it, Coinbase is doing it, you guys are doing it. What's happening in the background?
Well, we created this category. We have 25 coins now with our new 4.0 version. Most companies are offering 1 or 2 coins. They're just experimenting. They're getting into the game. We've announced we've done over $2.7 billion worth of lending. So I think that kind of rang the bell and everybody realized they have to be in this business. So we're very happy that other companies have finally recognized that they have to give back to their depositors.
Well, one of the criticisms that we used to get in crypto is that you can't earn interest on your crypto. And today, you can earn interest on your crypto. Now, I understand the one side of the trade pretty well. Me giving you money and you giving me interest, I understand that. Tell me who's using my money on the other side. If I give you Bitcoin, and my Bitcoin is earning, I think I looked earlier, it was about 6% per annum with you guys. Who's lending or who's borrowing that Bitcoin?
Sure, and it's a very important point for people to understand, right? What's on the other side of the trade. There's 2 types of borrower. Most people think it's about shorting and driving prices down, but it really has nothing to do with it. 80% of the lending has to do with institutions or exchanges who are really dollar denominated, who are looking to borrow coins to reduce their risk exposure to Bitcoin or Ethereum or the 25 coins we have. So because they're dollar denominated, they're looking to borrow to lower their risk.
Explain to me what that means, that they're dollar denominated and they're looking to borrow. What do you mean? Give me an example.
Sure. So if you're a hedge fund and you got dollars from your investors, from your LPs, you have to make returns in dollars. So if you take those dollars and buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin drops 10%, you just lost 10%. But if you use those dollars to borrow Bitcoin, then you trade in Bitcoin, for example, market making or anything else, and during that time Bitcoin drops 10%, you didn't lose 10%.
Because you're borrowing.
Because you're returning the same Bitcoin, you get your dollars back. So for arbitrage, for market making, for all of these activities, the people who do these activities are looking to borrow the assets. It's the same thing that's happening on Wall Street every day, just called SEC lending. Here we call it coin lending.
Okay, now, one thing that is really exciting for me is the fact that you can now take US dollars, turn them into USDC or USD Tether. Stablecoins, and then earn interest on your stablecoins. And the exciting part for me is that if I put my money in Chase, my US dollar in Chase, if I get 1%, I'm lucky.
That's right.
But I looked on the sites earlier, and I mean, you can get up to 9 and 10% on some of these stablecoins.
Yeah, we pay 9.75%. So all you have to do is you go to a site like USDC or True USD. They sell you a dollar equivalent. They're trust companies. So your dollars are actually sitting in an FDIC insured account. And then you get a token. We can only accept that token. We cannot accept the dollars.
Of course.
And then we pay you in tokens. When you redeem it, you get your original dollars plus the interest that you earned.
So are investors saying that the risk premium on these stable coins failing is about 8%? The differential between the rate that I'm getting on a US dollar in Chase and the rate that I'm getting on a USDC?
I would say it's 8 times more than Chase pays you, right?
It is 8 times
We
more.
pay 8 times more than what your bank pays you.
Okay, but that means that there's a risk premium, an 8x risk premium.
Not necessarily. So normally higher yielding assets would be much more risky. But here, because there is scarcity of dollars in the crypto world, buyers of Bitcoin and Ethereum are willing to pay more for those dollars. So when you go to an exchange and you're borrowing dollars to buy more Bitcoin on leverage or whatever, you're willing to pay that higher rate. Now the exchange has collateral, ample collateral, over 100% collateral against your assets. So the risk of default is actually very, very small. And again, Celsius has never had a single default in the 2 years we've been operating. Most other lenders never had any default. So yes, there's a big premium, but it's not because the lending is much more risky.
Is there arbitrage between the different providers? And I mean, is there an industry in closing the arbitrage between one lender and another lender?
I think, look, each lender has its own terms and conditions. We've been fully transparent about what we pay. And any of your viewers who are looking at this, they have to do their homework. They have to understand, because when you're giving those tokens to a lender like us, you are taking our risk, right? If you're
the
giving
risk
it to
is
somebody
that
else,
you will close down,
yes,
go to a yacht, disappear with my money.
well, I don't think that's happening. But if we make a mistake and something goes awry, then what are the chances of you getting those coins back? So some of these companies are operating offshore. How are you going to go and collect from them, right? We have our offices here in New York. You can come visit us. You can come visit us in London. You can come visit us in Israel, right? We have 5 offices. We're not going anywhere. We disclose our financials, and we have hundreds of millions of dollars on deposit. So I think for, like the worst thing that can happen to our young industry that you just mentioned is if one of these providers blows up, because then people will lose trust in this economy. The banks can pay you 8 or 9%. They just don't have to. So the fact that we're driving, just like we drove Binance and Coinbase to start paying rates, we hope that we will get Chase to pay you 2 or 3 times as much. That would be a very successful day for all of us.
So it's not only exciting because all of a sudden we're quoting cryptocurrency interest rates, but you can actually earn interest on stable coins. That's earning interest on US dollars. Stay tuned for more Crypto Trader. The Department of Justice announced this week that they've clamped down on the world's largest child pornography site. Jong Woo-son, a 23-year-old South Korean, and 337 others, including Americans, were arrested and indicted for a range of crimes relating to child pornography. The website, called Welcome to Video, was a hub where clients used Bitcoin and crypto to pay for illegal videos. And it was with the help of a company called Chainalysis that the authorities managed to track down the servers, catch the perpetrators, and take down the site. With me, I've got the CEO of Chainalysis, Michael Groninger. Michael, what does Chainalysis actually do?
Thanks for bringing me into the studio. So Chainalysis is a blockchain analytics company.
So we take transaction patterns from the public blockchains, from cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and other things. Then we recognize the patterns and build basic personas of different services. That means that we take something that's normally considered anonymous and dark and unknown and move it into the transparent regime where you can risk score things, where you can understand where the money flows, and you can basically trace down the cryptocurrency.
So I know you can't talk about specifically what happened in this case because I know it's quite sensitive, but give us an idea of how you'd approach a problem like this, and if you can, relate it back to this case so we can get some kind of idea of how you helped authorities.
Yeah, so the first step in a case like that is the identification of the website. So they have a wallet on the blockchain that's being identified by some methods first.
Well, that's easy. You go to the website, you try and pay, it gives you an address, you now know where that wallet is.
Exactly, that's how you would do it. And then from there, you look at our software that would then be able to say, okay, this is the wallet that we have here, who paid into that one? Then we have all our other data at Chainalysis where you have big crypto exchanges, wallet providers, and so on, and they would be sent. You would see those sending money into that wallet of welcome to videos, and now you know that each of those transactions are actually some user that on that side that paid money there.
And the exchanges, I take it, are KYC'd and AML'd, and so bang, you get to the actual people that are holding or sending Bitcoin to or crypto to illegal places.
Exactly. So the standard on crypto exchanges today is very high. It even was back in 2011. A lot of these exchanges will have KYC of their customers. So law enforcement
Gox actually had amazing KYC.
Even my Gox have amazing KYC actually. So it means that now you can go back, trace the crypto transaction to that specific exchange. Law enforcement would ask the exchange for information about that person, and they would get the identity, and now you can start a case.
Okay, how long has this case been going on for? How long between the time that you were first contacted by someone until the time that they caught the perpetrators?
So I think it's probably for the last 2 years that we've been looking at this. And the site was taken down last year. So that was like where we felt now something is happening here. But it takes a long time. It's 38 different countries that you need to coordinate between and ensure that everything works here. So it takes a long time to do a case like this.
I can imagine working at Chainalysis is almost like working in the Secret Service because you're tracking transactions. There's got to be a high level of privacy and employee trust there.
Definitely, there is a high level of trust in our employees. At the same time, we try to keep a very open culture internally. So we have discussed all these interesting cases internally, but outside, we of course can't share them.
Wow. And are your clients law enforcement or are your clients private companies?
So today it's 50-50. So half of our clients are from government agencies. That would be here in the US. It would be like in a lot of other countries worldwide. And then the other half are banks and crypto exchanges.
And you can, do you have databases of whose wallets and who they belong to? Is there a chance that you know all my wallets?
I probably don't know your wallets, but I would know an exchange. I would know an exchange that you were a customer at. And then if I were law enforcement and wanted to track you down, I would find a transaction there, I would send a subpoena to that exchange, and then I would put that information into our product and you could see it there. But the step to get from the anonymous blockchain and into the world of names of companies, exchanges, that's what you use us for.
And this is for the critics that say that, Bitcoin is used for illicit activities, for buying drugs, for child pornography. Well, this shows that you can actually trace every transaction and you can get 340 arrests, where if cash was used here, you would never be able to track it.
That would be a way more expensive investigation if you use cash. Probably more or less impossible to do that. With crypto is really very, very transparent, and I think that's one of the strengths in crypto, and really, as I see it, a utility and a feature more than a bug. So it means that it's what creates a new, very transparent, potential, like very big financial ecosystem that way.
So next time you talk to the critics and they tell you that Bitcoin is used for illicit activities, just tell them about what Chainalysis has done and what the results are. Stay tuned, because after the break, we're going to be looking at the FTX trading competition, and we're going to be talking to the winner who did 730% return last week in this market.
Christian, buddy, come sit over here. Now, the advertising offers have been flooding in. Look at the pile of offers I've got here for you. Look, let's just take a pic. Picture this. You're hiking through the Rocky Mountains, okay? And you're carrying gorgeous rosewood designer door on your back. And you look into the camera and then you say, "Oh." No, yeah, you're right. It's terrible, terrible idea. For the next one, you'll be carrying a refrigerator on your back, environmentally friendly refrigerator, and then your line is, well, actually, it's just one word. We'll put that one on ice, okay? Yeah. This is a hot dog chain. You're carrying this huge hot dog on your...
Enough! I've had it. No more carrying, no more saying that word ever again. I'm a serious actor. I have depth. Why can't you get me something with like an office with a tie, for example?
Action! Bitcoin is crashing. We have to sell.
Bitcoin is a bubble. Hodl. 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 I had to find a new agent.
Battle Royale is a trading competition run by the derivative exchange FTX. But it's no ordinary trading competition, because in this competition, not only are there weekly prizes, but you can also stake or bet behind other traders. So if you can't trade, rather take your money and bet behind other traders. Let's check in with the winner of last week's Battle Royale. His name is TW. TW, you got 730% return in this market. How did you do it?
Yeah, it was quite unexpected. I didn't really expect that much of a return. I guess I was quite lucky with a few big scalps. I was trading some high volatility coins for the week. So coins like Algo, BNB, and HT. So, when the coins were very volatile, they were moving up like 4 or 5%. I would like try to trade in the other direction with using like technical indicators to show that, the momentum is easing and all that. And then I would trade against it. And then when, it's reversing, and I would just scalp it and close my trade. So I was just doing a lot of these short-term trades for like 30 minutes to an hour. And that's because this competition is actually a very short competition. It's just a weekly competition. So I couldn't really do, big, long swing trades, like buy and hold it for, days and then close the position. So it was all about micro trading, a lot of scalping, and I managed to luckily scalp to 700%.
Okay, let's talk about staking. Were you one of the popular traders? Were you one of the people that people were betting behind?
Yes, at the peak, I had about 1.1 million FTT, so it's about $1.5 million staking on me. So that's quite humbling, I guess.
Wow, and was that a lot of pressure?
Well, I guess I was in the lead then, and so there wasn't that much pressure at that point in time. But every time if I fell behind, I would just feel like, oh yeah, I'm letting down all these stakers. So I just try to trade a bit harder.
So you won last week. Are you going to compete again this week? And if you are going to compete again, what's the strategy for the week?
Yeah, I'll definitely compete again. Since I had so much fun the first week. I will definitely trade. So there's a new coin out on FTX. So they're listing new alt perps or perpetual swaps. So it's Link, and I think when every time they issue a new coin, there'll be a lot of interest in it. So there'll be a lot of movement in that coin, and when there's a lot of movement, then there's a lot of opportunities. So definitely be looking at all this new coin Link.
Are you leveraging these trades?
Yes, I have to leverage. So on FTX, you can leverage up to 101x. Usually I go around 20 to 50x because when you go too high, 100x, a 1% move, which can happen anytime, will just wipe you out immediately. So you really have to be very, very careful with the leverage.
Well, we'll definitely keep a lookout for the Link token. And I heard that BINANCE is also now offering 125x leverage. I think if you're going to trade with 125x leverage, trade carefully. That's all for tonight. That's all the time that we have. I'll see you again next week right here at the same studio. Until then, I'll be on Twitter at CryptoManRun. And you should trade well, my friends.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.